This is The American Indians, written by My Ebook Publishing House, read by Matt Montanez. Chapter 1: Everyday Life of American Indians. The unwritten law but respected in any circumstances of all American Indian tribes was the one of graciously entertaining guests and properly honoring them. At night or during storm, in frostiness or scorching heat, whenever the unknown traveler that asked for hospitality would find a place of rest, fresh water for appeasing his thirst, and edibles of all categories that the host had in his home. The one that violated this duty was regarded as being unworthy. For that matter, an expression of practices from the olden structure of the primitive community, in these communities there were no townsfolk members left foodless, whilst others had their bread buttered on both sides. Even in times of affliction, when the venison was lean or the crops were poor, the stocks were divided amongst all the members of the tribe, until all the ailments were finished. Indians had a high sense of honor, justice, and loyalty, and they passionately fought for defending them. They despised the one that were indecisive or spineless, welcoming problems without fear, evincing the skillful craftsmanship of the battle with the enemies, and the fight with all kinds of beasts. Straggling on an enormous territory of continental dimensions, the great majority of the tribes had, through tacit covenants or through treaties, also verbal, lands more or less delimited, where they would hunt or establish their housing. The hunting terrains of cultivation or fishing of the tribes were generally marked off. The borders of the tribal territories could not be violated without the permission of the collectivity. If a stranger would permit to hunt or fish on this territory, he was susceptible of death penalty. Respecting the tribal territory had a force of law, a law that had to be respected fiercely. In case of misunderstandings, the chiefs with the council of the tribes would establish the situations and take decisions. Of these, some also reflect in toponymy. A few now today that, for instance, the name of the American state, Massachusetts, has its origin in a phrase said once by a chief of American Indians. The word meant in the idiom of Indians, "On the left shore we fish, on the right one you do." Speaking of this, we must show you that many of the Indian appellations of places are still kept on the contemporary maps of some of the lands or localities north of Rio Grande, Utah, Miami, Wyoming, Idaho, and Manhattan. Do you know what the last word means in the idiom of the ancient inhabitants? The land of the Zonk, Manhattan, the rocky island where today the heart of New York is found. It was bought by the Dutch from a chief of the Seneca Indians for 20 silver coins and a few cases of strong brandy. The history of words has, as it is evinced, deep and sometimes bitter roots. Thinking of the American Indians, you are without a doubt tempted by other questions. How did their traditional homes look like? How did the Indians dress and what was their conduct? What kind of food did they like and how did they spend their time outside the period dedicated to hunting, harvesting, field work, or angling? At these questions and others may be still unformulated, the following pages will try to answer. The bountiful palate, the inquisitive spirit, a thirst of new, and the inspired talent of a French artist named Georges Catlin have left us hundreds of images from the lives of North American Indians, among which he lived in those times when the European colonists pervade on the valleys of the rivers and scatter in the depth of the land. Among his cardboards filled with sketches, portraits, and landscapes from the lands of American Indians, many pictures have remained, particularly graphic and in the same time specific of the different types of American Indian houses. Their appearance differs as shape and dimension, style and construction materials from a geographical region to another, and often from a community to another. The constant or nomad character of the tribes, their occupation, the ready-at-hand construction materials, the customs and traditions of the respective nation are factors that determine in their complexity this diversity. The nomads, who were always moving away during the year on the vast spaces on the hunting lands, had as a practical residence, moving and easy to hold out a sort of a cone-shaped tent. It was composed of a frame formed of 10 to 20 straight and slim poles, shucked, covered in bison skins well tawed, or with large plaques of birch shell, nice
Sample complete. Ready to continue?